Congress in principle has been opposing communalism, no doubt about it. But what has happened in its practice at various points, it has compromised and given a chance to the right wing forces to coin the words like pseudo secular appeasement of minorities. Of course, all that is false, but the right wing has used some of the incidents done by the Congress to strengthen their own politics to a great extent. Now, as far as left is concerned, of course, I must say currently my main concern as a person, as a social worker, is that India should be able to retain its democracy. India should be able to retain its values of constitution, pluralism, secularism, and all that. In that case, I think left parties have generally, mostly, stuck to a very, very secular stand, a stand which can strengthen the inter-community relations. And whatever be the other criticism of CPM coalition in West Bengal, one thing is sure, they were able to maintain this communal amity to a great extent. And they, at that time, did succeed in warding off the communal elements from West Bengal to a great extent. And it does go to their credit that ideologically also, if we see left parties and left intellectuals have created a lot of material, literature, which has been tremendously useful for average workers to understand the nature of communalism, to try to reach the dangers of communal politics to the ground level. So that goes to the credit of left, that it has constantly maintained a pressure towards the secular side, towards the values of constitution. So that way, left does deserve to make its presence not only in Kerala but at national scene also. Biju, I must point out to you that in the last 3 decades or 2 decades, the best part of our governance was the initial periods of UPA 1, when Congress and left coalition was ruling the center. And of course, it is unfortunate that coalition broke down, and that opened opened a huge space for the right wing to make inroads. And after a few years, then it came back to power in a very powerful way. So that left by its very nature, left by its very nature is secular. Left by its very nature has to uphold the values of constitution. And I think though Kerala may be a single state, but a significant presence of left there gives a signature. One example, if you permit me, I'll add. Like recently, we had COVID-19 threat all over the country, and Kerala also suffered a great deal in the beginning. But the management of COVID in Kerala and rest of the country stands in dark contrast. In contrast means how Kerala government, led by the CPM and other as a part of a coalition of other left parties, how they were able to be sensitively reach to the people, fulfill their needs in a very empathetic way. It was not a heartless government like at other places where migrants are going, nobody's caring, and you declare a lockdown in 4 hours, and lakhs of migrants walk from one place to the other on cycle, on foot, paying heavy money to the bus drivers, to the truck drivers, and finally, how many have died on the way? We don't even have statistics. And when they left back to their home, again we don't know what happened to them. Now they are not able to come back. So what will happen to their survival? So this lockdown, which was I think one of the biggest disaster of brought in by the BJP government. I don't know how will history look at it, but one thing which stands out is that even in this dark period, the CPM-led government in Kerala did remarkably well. Of course, epidemic, pandemic, pandemic have their own ways of behaving, so you can't control it totally. There are multiple factors, but what is a single criterion which the government has to have is to how do we reach to the poorest of the poor, How do we take care of their needs even in this situation? And that I think left government uh, can be given full marks for its very sensitive and efficient organization of COVID relief. It goes without saying. You see, by its very nature, the left ideology, its primary focus is on the livelihood and dignity of the people as such, broad layers of people. So, and communalism, communal violence is generally brought about by the communal forces on identity issue. And left, by and large, not fallen to the trap, fallen to the trap of identity created issues, which in due course lead to the communal violence. And of course, all over the country, if you see, communal violence takes place because of the bringing up of identity issues by the communal parties. And in a sequence, if you see, like Ram Temple, then cow beef, love jihad, and then even Corona jihad they try to bring in. So this is how communal elements try to bring in. And there, I think left in a very principled manner is opposed to such issues being brought in the political arena. Your identity, your religion is your personal matter. It's not that left is trying to ban religion. There's no question of banning religion, but there is no question of bringing religion into the political domain, and that's what left in India has been successfully doing. These are two different things because earlier there was some position which used to call for banning of the religion, banning of the churches, which of course I think was wrong because you and there I think it comes close to the Gandhian position where Gandhi says, I am a religion, I am a Hindu, but that is my personal matter. State doesn't have to be guided by my Hindu beliefs. So that I think left has been doing it fairly successfully. That left wants religion people to follow there because and Kerala is so diverse in the religion wise. There are Muslims, there are Christians, there are Hindus, and there are so many denominations of Christians. Among Hindus also there are so many denominations. Even in Kerala, even till now, we have not been able to get rid of caste system, despite the great contributions of Narayan Guru and others. But still, what best can be done in the time of resurgence of the communal forces that probably left has been trying to do in trying to promote scientific temper, in trying to promote gender justice, gender equality. And that's what I think matters. Congress, here there is one dilemma one faces in Kerala particularly, because at national level, like even in West Bengal, Congress and left is together, which is very correct. But choosing a if a single left party can be there, which is less rigid, which is open to the people's thing, this definitely is to the benefit of the large sections of society who can uh, aspire. Like, what do we need? What do poor people need? Bread, butter, shelter, employment, health, and education. These are the minimal things which we need, and which I think the governments on the left side of the center have been generally very sensitive and have been generally very caring, and that got again proved in this COVID crisis. In principle, I regard that Congress is the nationwide secular force. But what has happened that a lot of opportunist communal elements have entered. A lot of top leaders of the party who are there, they feel that taking a secular stand will drive away our Hindu vote bank. So sometimes Congress does get influenced by that, and the type of opposition it has to show to Article 317, CAA, Ram Temple, it is not able to do. Like I am saddened that many Congress leaders are giving donation for Ram Temple. And question is, you have money, give it to the things which can enhance the condition of the poor. Lord Ram has enough money, and actually, so many of the Congress, their understanding is that Hindu vote bank we have to bring in. Now their mistake is that if people have to vote on the issues of Hindutva, why they will not vote for BJP? Because BJP is a purified Hindutva politics. So there, if you want to compete with BJP on the issue of Hindutva, you have no chance. And that is what is happening to Congress because of its decline. So despite its great legacy of secularism, Gandhi and Nehru, there are many top leaders who are not easily controlled by the Congress High Command. Then they do these sort of things because of which things happen. While I think left on these issues have been fairly principled, there may be other reasons why left is becoming weak all over the country. That also needs to be looked in, and that should be a concern of all of us because uh, principles in these matters related to communalism are very important. It is not just a question of Hindu Muslim or Hindu Christian unity. The question is these issues derail the country. These issues derail the country from the path of progress. And I'll give you an interesting thing. If you see last 10 years, 7 years BJP has been in the absolute rule, and all our indices related to happiness, related to livelihood, related to security, related to democratic index, they are all falling. India is falling in that country. Now, economically, and look at Bangladesh. Of course, there are Bangladesh many controversies. In Bangladesh, they are trying to stick to secular issues. They are not trying to bring up these communal issues beyond a point. Of course, there are communal elements in Bangladesh also who want to respond, who want to attack Hindu minorities there. But by and large, the predominant politics in Bangladesh is trying to take up the issues related to people's livelihood. So now Bangladesh is going ahead of us in development, while India, in the initial years of Republic, India laid the solid foundation of public sector, education, universities, scientific research, fertilizers, irrigation. India laid a solid foundation. And last 7 years, if you see, India is sliding back and back and back. And Bangladesh, which is Johnny come lately, which comes in 71, there are communal elements also. But the main party, because it is pursuing the path related to people's issue, now it is surging ahead of India. While people always used to say, oh, Bangladesh, poor country, the Bangladeshis are infiltrating the country, they will, because of them. That's why CA was brought in. CA was brought in that Bangladesh, a poor country, everybody wants to emigrate, everybody wants to come to our India, and they will eat away our this thing. Now I will say there may be a reverse migration, who knows? Because the conditions in Bangladesh are improving, while conditions in India are constantly worsening. So CA, as you said, CA I think is a very great humiliation. It's a great humiliation to the people of Assam or all over the country. And CA is, I think, one of the laws which is blatantly communal. Blatantly communal. It gives citizenship to all persecuted neighbors except Muslims. Now, these people who have made the law don't know that in Pakistan, there are sects of Muslims who are persecuted. In Afghanistan, because no community is uniform. Communalism basic assumption itself is wrong, that there is one uniform Muslim community versus one Hindu community. It is not like that. Even in Hindu community, you will see multiple sects, multiple castes, multiple internal this thing. It is not that a rich Hindu industrialist is going to embrace a Hindu beggar and say, oh, we are brothers, I'll help you. It's not like that. So this whole ideology of communalism is based on a false assumption. And the CA, I think, has to be opposed tooth and nail. Unfortunately, because they have a majority and they get many laws passed by force or using all the mechanism. But I think the position of left on CA has been remarkably good. I hope they are able to rally other states also. And one of the advantages of CPM-led coalition coming to power in Kerala may be that in all these things, there will be one state standing tall and trying to rally all the democratic plural forces like CA. Other states, when the governments are coalition governments or the other government, they may make a weak noise. But if Kerala, there is one solid pillar, others can rally around that and try to oppose these type of laws which BJP is going to impose one by one. Because the latest one I have heard, they are going to bring a law against love jihad. Now, it is very sad. It is very sad that these street, what do you call, people on the street, they are going to decide what is love and what is allurement or all that. So they will be the judges who will be beating up the couples, taking them to police stations, and harassing innocent lovers, which I think is a fairly big setback to our plural, liberal, democratic values. And in India, what has happened that the weaknesses of public sector are being utilized to kill the public sector. Nobody is saying that why not strengthen the public sector? If some weaknesses have come in, you remove them because India primarily has come up because of the public sector. People forget this. It may be not only industry, science, education, and health. All these India could come up to the world standards only because of the public sector. So if some weaknesses have come in, the duty is not that you throw the baby with the bath water. You save the baby, you save the water, you try to tighten up the public sector, and which is very much possible. Like some incentivization, so salary is not given fully, but part of it is an incentive, part of it is a salary. That can make people work more efficiently. You try to learn the market rules. But like India, you see BSNL. Today, Reliance and all that have come up. But the facilities which the BSNL had was matchless. They are killing it. Even Indian, our Doordarshan and all that, they had massive infrastructure. So actually, there is one difference between Congress and the BJP. Difference is that if you see from 2004 to 2014, first of course, left was in alliance that kept the government on the track. And track by track, I mean orientation towards people's needs. That is my track. Okay. That's why if you see during that time, right to information, right to food, right to health, right to education, these things came in. So the difference between Congress policies and BJP policies lie here. That Congress is amenable to such concept that people have a right to live. People have a right to life. People have a right to food, education, health, and even I will say employment. That is not the concept of BJP at all. Since BJP has come, the concept of right has been replaced by the order of duties. Rights are there with the corporate, duties are there with all the people. So this is the division of labor, and that's where, which is I think most troubling for us. This division of labor between rights of the corporate versus duties of the people. I think this has to be evenly balanced, and my feeling will be that if left focuses on economic aspect, strengthening whatever public sector is remaining, strengthening that and demonstrating public sector is more efficient than the private sector. This is a some of the scholars, serious scholars have to burn midnight lamp to prove that the efficiency of public sector can be more than the efficiency of private sector. Private sector is motivated only by profit. You are richest man in the world, etc., etc. That can't be the goal of the country. That's two of my cronies become the richest people in the world. That is not the goal. The goal has to be what Gandhi said. What is the life of the last man in the line? What is happening to the poor? How his indices are improving? And unfortunately, the indices related to the poor people are falling abysmally. These are parallel processes. Strengthening of the corporate sector and weakening of the poor, they go hand in hand. We have to reverse the process. Corporate can do their job, but as far as the poor are concerned, farmers are concerned, unemployed are concerned, sick people are concerned, their, their right to life, their right to get those facilities has to be emphasized. And I think left is the only force which can assert it with full conviction, full ideological backing. That's why I think some left force, has to be kept alive all over the country. I wish that left becomes more powerful, not just to come to power at center, but as a pressure point to the other parties that, well, some corporate sections are going up, but what is happening to the average man on the street? What is happening to the prices of petrol? What is happening to the number of farmers committing suicide? Number of youth who are unemployed? This is where I think the left has a historic role to play in the times to come. And if it is there in Kerala, it can be a very strong rallying point for the national policies over a period of time. That's why I feel that it should continue. Its ideological commitments to people's welfare should be strengthened. And this has to be communicated well. This has to be communicated not in a jargon of our classical books lying in the library, but this has to be communicated in a language which people understand related to their bread, butter, shelter, employment. This is what a big task which the left has on its hand after the victory in Kerala.